Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and happy 4th of July. For any of you that are watching today's video, it is currently being recorded on the 4th of July. However, it'll be posted July 5th, which is actually when I'm launching all the fireworks I purchased. So I guess it works out either way. But, yeah, happy 4th to everybody that celebrates it. Hopefully you're enjoying the weekend, as today is Saturday now for everybody watching. And to celebrate the Americans, we are going to be playing in the M6 Experimental, a Tier 8 big frickin' block of steel. I mean, this is about as fat as you can get. I mean, this tank is if diabetes was a tank. Well, what does the M6 Experimental have going for it? A couple things. First of all, really, really good armor on the hull. The turret is actually really poor. In fact, when it got enhanced graphics, the turret became even weaker. So if you're using this vehicle, it does have 10 degrees of gun depression, but unironically, you really want to use it on flat ground. And you want to try and hide the turret as much as possible. Usually what I do is I will poke a corner, but only with my front track and hull poking. That way, the enemy shoots at my hull, bounces, and then I can poke around the rest of the corner, shoot them, and back up. And the M6 Experimental has ridiculously strong frontal protection on that hull. While we're waiting to load into battle, I might as well go over to Armor Inspector and show you exactly what we're working with. But it's pretty impressive. Here we go. We just got into a game, but I can still showcase the armor. This is the vehicle's upper plate with enhanced, which is what I'm running, 270, and the lower plate is also 270. And if you have heat, it's even more. It's 280 and 280. So, yeah, this thing is pretty crazy armor. And if you're able to use it properly, you're not going to be penned, even with most tanks running calibrated. But the problem is, as I said, the turret armor is only like 100 and, maybe 40 on the turret cheeks. So you got to be really careful. Thankfully, the gun is still very nice on this tank. It's the same gun as the T-34, so you have over 260 millimeters of AP pen, 312 on the APCR, which is more than enough to butter through any armor that exists. For example, this tank, yeah, I mean, literally, armor just becomes useless against this tank. The only disadvantage this has versus the T-34 is that the DPM is a little bit worse, but we get a bounce from the AMX. I'm going to overpoke, load in a high explosive. Oof, 440. We can already see this vehicle's armor getting pretty good bounces here. We've blocked every single shot that's been fired at us, and we simply reload and aim it on the Ferdinand. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. But that is exactly the weak spot there, right in the turret cheek where that shell ended up penetrating us. But as I said, thankfully, because this thing has good alpha damage and really, really good pen, even if you do have to use this thing on a ridgeline, the armor still works just fine. So we get a bounce from the Ferdinand. My teammate is blocking me. Oof, nasty shell into that AT-15. Not really sure what our VK-45 is doing to be real, but we're doing just fine and mighty. Reloading again. We got 2 more seconds left, and let's poke the Ferdinand, aiming. A boom. There you go, 396. I'm actually surprised we're getting bounces on the edge of our turret, because this thing, as I said, has really, really bad turret armor. Now, we got the Kari, who tried to poke, but the 45 TP stopped him, which is actually really funny. Oh, there. Oh, okay, back up. All right, there you go. This is what you kind of want to do, though, with the hull when people are trying to shoot you, is just angle it. Now, something else that's really funny about this tank is because it's so tall, you can actually use it to overlook certain structures, like this one here. I can literally just get right over the structure and still shoot that AT and everything else, which is kind of hilarious. But at this point, we've already dealt 2,500 damage. The Kari is cooked. I mean, all I need to do is drive right here, and bye-bye. There goes the Kari. And that leaves us with the AT-15 and the Ferdinand. Alright, let's just drive right out in the open. The only spot the Ferdinand can pen me is in the turret. So if he doesn't aim it on my... Okay, game. That makes sense. But, as I said, if these players don't aim at my turret, they won't pen me. And it's funny to me because people always say, like, oh, Droodles, the armor on this tank isn't that good anymore. I disagree. Against players that aren't very smart, the armor on this thing is insane. And you might say, well, most players aren't dumb. Yeah, what world are we living in? The entire Blitz player base is dumb, bro. Like, and this is such a good example. We got so many bounces this game. I think we blocked over 3,000 damage. And we were in an unfavorable situation because we had to use our turret armor. We did 3,225 damage and blocked 2,800. I think we only had literally like 2 shells pen us that entire game, which is kind of crazy. So, not a bad result at all. This tank has 268 millimeters of AP pen. And, I mean, that alone is just wild. If we go back to the armor profile of this tank, and we get a vehicle that actually shoots heat, right? Let's go to Tier 8 Heavies. I think the M3O shoots heat. It does. So this is what an M3O with calibrated shell sees when aiming it on this vehicle. The upper plate is 300 millimeters. The lower plate is 290. And the craziest part is the mantlet is also impossible to pen. So you can see that really the only weak spots are these corners here. That's it. Everything else is just red. So that's exactly how you use the tank. You try to hide the turret, and you bait with your hull. And now that the vehicle has enhanced graphics, it looks frickin' epic, I have to say. I hope Wargaming makes a legendary camo for this vehicle at some point, but even then, I've always loved the M6 Experimental. It was one of my favorite tanks when it was first introduced into the game, and I'm really happy that it still has the major strengths that it always has, which is crazy armor and a gun that just rips through the enemy. But as we can see, the AMX obviously went right through my turret over there. Thankfully, we still hit harder. We're going to reload the WZ-111 Shoe Tower Bisonte. I'm going to move up a little bit over here. Oh, that AMX moving up, that's not a good play. Oof, there you go. 365 right into that player. Our AP pen is just so overpowered. 270 is literally the same as tier 10 heavies, yet we're in a tier... Oh, great. Why are we being shot by the Sama? I don't know. Oh, great. That's amazing. Thank you, team. That's great. Oh, boy. Yep, there it is. Doesn't matter how good you are at the game if your team decides to do nothing to the enemy tanks that poke. I mean, our hull got bounces, but again, when they don't hit you in the hull, you're not going to get bounces. So, thanks, team. Guess we have to sit here now, and we don't get to do anything for the rest of the game. Isn't that fun? Alright, well, let's wait for that Sama to poke. There you go. Nice 439. Yeah. Wow, took you long enough, team. Oh, well. Let's reload again. WZ just shot, and that actually gives me the opportunity to move up a little bit. Let's see if we can get a clear into the Borsig. Easy shot for 250. And then what I can do is I can move over here and pray to God that the ISU-130 misses me, which he just did. Alright, well, I think the best play right now is to move up just a little bit so that the ISU doesn't get the shell out, which he didn't. Wow, we actually did pretty good this game. I'm a little surprised, but yeah, we brought it back. I don't think we're going to get any damage into the T-54 lightweight, no. But we might be able to get some damage into the WZ-111. I was kind of hoping that WZ was going to fight me, but I guess he's just going to keep sitting there and get shot by every other player. Alright, oh well. Nothing crazy. Let's see if we can get a pen into him before the game ends. Oh well. Accuracy is never going to be the best thing ever. Like, this was definitely a bad situation to be stuck in for this tank. We had vehicles on our side, on our front. I think actually the Borsig shot us like 600, and that was the real kicker that kind of ruined my experience there. But hey, we still did 1900. We still did second on the team, and that's still a pretty good result. So let's try one more battle in the M6 Experimental, and yeah, let's see how this goes for the finale. In general, though, I've always loved this tank, because even when the armor doesn't work, you have such a strong gun that it doesn't really matter. You don't bounce anything. Now, the accuracy is something different. American tanks, especially Tier 8, really aren't the most accurate. I mean, the T-34, for anybody that's used to driving it, knows just how goofy the on-movement dispersion of the vehicle is. And this tank does have a half a second better aiming time than the T-34, but it still doesn't matter. Its gun is a little goofy on move. You have to give it about 2 or 3 seconds before it's, you know, pretty reliable. But, as I said, because you have so much penetration, the great thing is that you don't really rely on the reliability of the gun, because as long as you hit your target, you're usually going to pen. I don't think I've had to load gold once so far. I've just fired AP, and every single shell pens and pens and pens. It is insane what you are able to get away with when using this vehicle. And something else that's interesting is that while it only goes 30 kilometers per hour, it has a really good power to weight. So we can see here that I'm able to chill at 30 even when uphill most of the time. Power to weight ratio is just as important as top speed. I mean, it's just a fact. If your tank has a really good top speed but can't ever reach it, then, well, it really doesn't have a good top speed. But this tank is going just as fast as the Hazard, which is a, ooh, that was a lucky shot. Ah, there it is, though. There it is. Being a tall tank and being on this map is not a great combination because the roof of my turret might just stick out when trying to roll around corners. But the WZ-111 has 5 degrees of gun depression, if I'm not mistaken, which makes that a very awkward tank to use. So we're just going to overpoke, aim it on his upper plate, and boom. Low roll, but I'll still take it. 366 damage. Hazard gets a nice shell as well. And we back up and wait. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Let's see if we can get a shell into the WZ. Aiming. Ah. This Hazard's also kind of getting in my way, though, which could be a little bit irritating. But it's fine. We got 5 seconds left. We'll get another shell out. And this time we'll pen it. Alright, here we go. Aiming, aiming, and... I'm just going to overpoke, honestly. I mean, there's really no downside to. There you go. Nice 454 into the enemy KV. And we reload again. Now, we do have an elephant who is a little oblivious, but it's fine. As long as the elephant does his job, it doesn't really matter. KV4 gets a bounce. We reload. Ow. Okay. Really? Alright, bruh. Alright. That's a little lame, but... as I said, the gun. It's a little irritating every now and then. That was definitely a moment there. And our team is doing really, really bad right now. So this is not a winning situation. But if we reload, we can aim it on the Charioteer. Awful roll, bruh. 334. If we had just gotten even a 350 roll, that Charioteer would have been a one-shot. But now they're in the range of a two-shot if our RNG doesn't work out too well for us. All right, well, we reload. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Yep, there it is. 335. It's crazy how you can have 400 damage per shot and roll 332 shots in a row. Like, to me, that's pretty crazy. Oh well, our T-44-100 is crying about the team being bad, while they are in one of the worst tanks in the tier. We get a nice shell into the WZ-111, tracking him in the process. Charioteer actually backed off the hill, and I'd love to help the Hazard, but when you drive like that, I can't really help you, bro. Well, every game has its ups and downs, and, well, this game definitely had downs. I mean, what am I supposed to do here, bro? Let's just angle it from the WZ, and... yeah, there you go. At least the armor's still doing pretty good, right? Let's aim it on the roof. We were like this close to getting the shell out. Oh well. Our gun trolled us. If we hadn't low-rolled that Charioteer twice, and some of our shots had hit that shouldn't have missed, we could have done a little bit better there. But hey, we blocked 1,700 damage, and we did almost 3k. So you really can't blame the tank, especially when you have a 200 damage T-44 who's blaming the team who can't even break 50% win rate, the Hazard 1 who should have been on medium flank, the Skoda T-56 who should have been on heavy flank not helping me. You know, people are always like, oh, Droodles, you got to stop complaining about your teams. But I don't know what else people want me to do when you get a result like that. You're trying your best. You're doing everything you can on the heavy flank, a 1 versus basically 3, and yet you still lose. Like, it's hard not to. Either way, I like the M6 Experimental a lot. It's a super fun tank. I haven't played it a crazy amount of games, but the 6 battles I have, I've done fairly well. It's always a vehicle that I recommend to keep an eye out for. And thankfully, right now, it is in stores, even though my game isn't showing the store. But yeah, definitely a tank to consider picking up. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and make sure to click that subscribe button down below if you did. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!